Part 1. The Hidden Flame. There is something hidden inside every human being. It is not visible to the eye, and it cannot be measured by any tool. It waits silently, like a flame buried under ashes, untouched by the noise of the world. The masters of the past whispered about it. They called it the secret. They said it was not just another idea or belief, but the deepest treasure of the soul, the crown jewel of human existence. This secret is not written in books. It is not taught in classrooms. You cannot buy it, and you cannot steal it. It cannot be explained in words the way we explain the weight of a stone or the taste of bread. It can only be lived. It can only be unveiled. And the strange thing is that it has always been there. Even now, as you read these words, it waits for you, hidden in the silence of your own heart. You may have touched it already without knowing its name. Perhaps it came to you in prayer, when the one who prayed seemed to vanish and only the prayer itself remained. Or perhaps in meditation, when the mind grew so quiet that awareness itself was all that was left, boundless and without edges. Or maybe it came in a fleeting moment when the world looked strangely alive, when every sound and every breath felt charged with presence. These were not illusions. They were small cracks in the wall, glimpses of what lies beyond. The Sufi masters described the human being as a layered reality, like doors within doors. The outermost door is the self of fear and desire. They called it the nafs. It is the restless voice that lives inside your head, always wanting, always fearing, always comparing. It whispers that you are not enough, that you need more, that happiness is just one step further, if only you can reach it. Most people spend their whole lives caught in this voice, running in circles that never end. But the masters knew the nafs is only the shell. It is not the center, not the core. Beneath the nafs lies another chamber. It is called the heart, not the physical heart made of flesh and blood, but the subtle heart that reflects light like a mirror. When it is polished and cleared of dust, it begins to shine. Through this heart, divine knowledge enters human life. It is the heart that makes you see the world with different eyes, no longer as ordinary, but as illuminated. In this state, even the smallest things carry meaning. A breath feels sacred. A glance reveals beauty that was always there but hidden. The heart becomes a window through which the real shines into the world. Deeper still lies the spirit. The spirit is the breath of life itself, the gift placed in humanity since the first day. It is love. It is longing. It is the spark that makes you alive. It is why no matter how much you achieve, there is always a quiet voice asking for something more. The spirit remembers its source, and it wants to return. When the spirit awakens, you begin to taste communion. You feel that every breath is both human and divine, that you are not alone, that your existence is held within something larger than yourself. And yet, beyond even the spirit, there is the innermost sanctuary. This is the Sirr, the secret. Here all veils are gone. Here there is no distance, not even the distance of knowledge or imagination. The mystics said the secret is not about learning, not about visions or symbols. It is direct recognition. It is awareness seeing itself as awareness. It is the real meeting, the real without any barrier. The speech of the secret is silence, and its silence is speech. It is not imagination, not emotion, not passing ecstasy. It is the deepest reality, hidden but eternal, waiting to be recognized. And the path to it is not escape from the world, but transformation of how you live within it. Part 2. The Journey Inward. The masters taught, that the path to the secret is not about leaving the world behind, but about passing through the veils that cover your own being. They said human consciousness is built like a palace, with chambers one inside another. The outer halls are noisy and crowded, full of echoes of desire and fear. But as you move inward, silence begins to grow, and with that silence, something luminous starts to reveal itself. The first step is always the same: to face the nafs, the restless self. The nafs is tricky. It hides in every thought, every reaction, every craving. It wants attention. It tells you stories about the past, fears about the future, promises of happiness if only you could get this or achieve that. The danger is not that these voices are wrong, but that they convince you they are all you are. And so most people never look beyond. They spend their days feeding the voice, chasing shadows, believing this endless noise is life. But those who dared to look deeper discovered something extraordinary. They discovered that the nafs is only the surface. It is like waves on the ocean. No matter how restless the waves, the depth beneath remains untouched. To realize this is the beginning of awakening, the masters gave practices to weaken the grip of the nafs. They taught remembrance, discipline, compassion. These are not punishments, but ways of polishing the mirror, wiping away the dust so the heart can begin to shine. When the heart awakens, the world changes. What once looked ordinary begins to glow. A tree is no longer just wood and leaves. It is a revelation. A moment of silence is no longer empty. It is full of presence. In the heart, knowledge is not learned from books, but tasted directly. The heart does not need proof because it sees with its own light. And yet, the heart is not the end. Deeper lies the spirit. The spirit is the breath of God within you. It is love, pure and endless. When you touch the spirit, longing becomes your companion. You feel drawn towards something greater, something beyond the limits of the self. In the spirit, every breath feels like prayer. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you are alive through a mystery that no science or philosophy can fully explain. The spirit makes you restless, not with fear, but with yearning. It whispers that home is not in possessions or titles, but in returning to the source from which you came. Then comes the most hidden chamber, the Sirr, the secret. Here all distinctions melt away. At the level of the heart, you know God through his attributes, the merciful, the wise, the beautiful. At the level of the spirit, you taste love and union. But in the secret, there are no names and no attributes. There is no distance, no veil, not even the veil of knowledge. The secret is not about learning, but about being. It is the real recognizing itself through you. The mystics used paradox to describe it. One said, "The speech of the secret is silence, and its silence is speech." Another cried out, "I am the truth," not as arrogance, but as precision. In the secret, the boundary between servant and Lord becomes so thin that words collapse. It is not annihilation, but unveiling. You do not disappear into nothingness. You discover that you are always held within the embrace of the divine. Time itself bends at this depth. Past and future lose their grip. There is only the eternal now. Every breath becomes the breath of God. Every act the act of God. Every perception the perception of God. It is not imagination. It is not philosophy. It is direct, immediate, undeniable. This is the invitation of the journey inward, not to escape life, but to see it as it truly is. Not to lose yourself, but to uncover what you have always been. The path is not about adding something new, but about unveiling what was hidden. And at the center of that unveiling lies the secret, waiting for you in the silence of your own heart. Part 3. The language of silence. To speak of the secret is already to risk losing it, because its nature is silence. And yet silence here does not mean absence. It does not mean emptiness. Silence in this place is alive. It speaks without words. It teaches without sentences. Those who have entered the chamber of the secret say its silence carries more meaning than all the libraries of the world. Imagine this silence not as nothingness, but as fullness. It is like standing before the ocean at night. You cannot count the waves. You cannot see the far shore. Yet you feel the immensity pressing against your skin, filling your lungs, echoing in your chest. That is what the silence of the secret feels like. It is not void. It is presence so complete that words fall away. The Sufi masters warned that this state cannot be forced. The more you try to catch it, the faster it slips away. The secret unveils itself only when you stop reaching, when you surrender, when you let go. It arrives like dawn. You cannot pull the sun into the sky, but you can prepare yourself to witness its rising. The secret comes in the same way. It chooses its own moment, its own hour. Those who tasted it struggled to describe it. One mystic wrote that knowledge came without learning, certainty without proof, understanding without thinking. He said he entered a state where he was neither awake nor asleep, neither speaking nor silent, neither moving nor still. In that state, he knew with absolute conviction that what he experienced did not come from himself, yet he could not say it came from anything other than himself. Such is the paradox of the secret. Another spoke of prayer praying itself. He said the worshipper disappeared, and only worship remained. He said the reciter vanished, and only the divine word recited itself. This is what happens when the secret awakens. The separation between you and the act dissolves. Life itself becomes the prayer. Breath itself becomes remembrance. Presence itself becomes the teacher. At this depth, the paradox becomes natural. You remain yourself, and yet you are not yourself. You are human, and yet every moment feels divine. Silence becomes eloquence. Stillness becomes movement. The ordinary world shines as extraordinary. Every tree, every stone, every face glows with the same light. The secret does not remove you from the world. It transfigures the world so that you see it for what it always was. But this is also why the masters spoke in riddles and symbols. They knew that to expose the secret too directly to the unprepared heart could do harm. It is like showing the sun to eyes that have only known darkness. The light may blind rather than heal. So they wrapped their teachings in poetry. They hid the truth in stories. They clothed the fire in metaphors. Only the heart, polished through discipline and surrender, could unlock the hidden meaning. And yet, even now, the flame waits in every human being. You may feel it as a stirring, as restlessness, as a quiet longing that nothing in the world can satisfy. You may not be able to name it, but you recognize it. The masters said, this longing itself is a sign that the secret is near. The thirst proves the water exists. The hunger proves the food is real. The language of the secret will never be taught in schools. It will never be captured by science. Its only language is silence, and its silence is louder than thunder. If you can listen, not with your ears but with your whole being, you may begin to hear it. Not outside, but inside. Not far away, but here, in the stillness between two breaths. The secret is not waiting in distant heavens. It is alive in you now, whispering through silence, calling you to remember what you have always been. Part 4. The Veils and the Mirror. The masters often spoke of veils. They said that the human being is born with a light, but this light is covered, not destroyed, not lost, only hidden behind layers upon layers of veils. Each veil is made of desire, fear, pride, anger, or ignorance. Every unchecked thought, every selfish impulse, every careless act adds another thin film over the mirror of the heart. And with each veil, the light within shines less clearly until many forget that the light exists at all. But the path of the seeker is not about building something new. It is about removing what covers the mirror. The heart itself was always created to shine. When you polish it through discipline and remembrance, you do not invent the light, you only allow it to appear. That is why the mystics compared the heart to a mirror. Left alone, a mirror gathers dust and becomes dull. But with patient polishing, it can reflect the sun itself. The veils are not enemies, they are teachers. Every time you confront a veil, you learn something about yourself. You see the limits of the nafs. You recognize the tricks of the ego. And in this recognition, another layer falls away. Slowly, the heart begins to breathe again. Slowly, the secret begins to stir. This is why the masters warned against rushing. The secret cannot be forced open by impatience. Just as you cannot tear open a seed to make it bloom faster, you cannot tear open the heart. Growth must happen in its time. The seed must rest in darkness before it can break through the soil. The same is true of the human soul. There are stages, stations, practices, each one preparing the way for what lies deeper. Repentance, awe, hope, love, trust, contentment, surrender. These are not abstract virtues but living states. Each one loosens the grip of the nafs. Each one clears another film from the mirror. Slowly, the heart becomes transparent. And when the heart is transparent, the spirit breathes freely. In the spirit, you begin to taste a new kind of life. Not life measured in possessions or achievements, but life measured in presence. Every moment carries a depth you never noticed before. You see mercy in a stranger's smile. You see beauty in the shape of a leaf. You feel strength in the movement of the wind. The Spirit shows you that all of creation is a mirror of the real. Nothing is outside this light. Everything is included. And yet even this is not the end. For beyond the heart and beyond the spirit lies the innermost chamber, the Sirr, the secret. This is where the veils are gone entirely. This is where the mirror does not reflect light, but light itself recognizes itself. In the secret, there is no distance, no separation. The seeker and the sought collapse into one. The prayer and the one prayed to are revealed as the same. Here, language falters. The mystics could only use paradox. They said silence is speech, and speech is silence. They said the self does not vanish, but it is unveiled as always, having been within the real. They said time bends until past and future dissolve, leaving only the eternal now. But even with all these words, the reality remains hidden until it is tasted. No description, no poetry, no philosophy can replace the direct recognition of the secret. That is why the masters spoke carefully. They hid their deepest knowledge in symbols, not to confuse but to protect. Just as the sun is hidden by clouds until the eyes are ready, the secret is hidden until the heart can bear its light. The polishing of the mirror is not punishment. It is mercy. It is preparation. And when the last veil is lifted, when the mirror shines clear, the light that has always been there reveals itself, not as something new, but as what you have always been. Part 5. The Eternal Now. One of the most astonishing truths the masters revealed is that time itself changes when the secret is unveiled. In the ordinary world, we live by clocks and calendars. We divide existence into past, present, and future. We are haunted by yesterday and anxious for tomorrow. But in the innermost chamber, all of this collapses. The mystics spoke of the eternal now. They said the past and future are only shadows. They exist in memory and imagination, but they have no real weight. What is real is only this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And when the secret awakens, you no longer live as a prisoner of time. You live in the ceaseless present, where eternity touches every instant. Think of a flame. You cannot point to the flame as past or future. It only exists as burning now. The same is true of the secret. It is always here, always burning. It does not wait for tomorrow. It does not dwell in yesterday. It shines only in the present. This is why those who have touched the secret describe a strange freedom. They no longer wait for God. They no longer search for God. They no longer remember God as if he were absent. Instead, they discover that every breath is already God's breath, every act already God's act, every perception already God's perception. It is not imagination, it is direct recognition. At this depth, prayer changes. The seeker no longer prays to reach God, for the prayer itself is God's movement through the heart. The seeker no longer remembers, because remembrance has become the natural state. Words become unnecessary. Silence speaks louder. Presence becomes overwhelming. The mystic Al-Hallaj cried out, "I am the truth." Many called it blasphemy, but to those who understood, it was precision. He was not claiming to be separate from God. He was declaring that at the level of the secret, the veil of separation vanishes. The real knows itself through the servant, and the servant knows himself through the real. The eternal now is not a theory. It is a shift in the very structure of consciousness. Past and future lose their grip. Fear of death loosens. Regret dissolves. Anxiety disappears. What remains is pure presence, vast and infinite, yet intimate and close. You realize that eternity has always been here, hidden beneath the illusions of time. And yet the paradox is that you still walk in the world. You still see clocks. You still make plans. You still live inside the rhythm of days and nights. But underneath it all, you carry the secret awareness that everything unfolds in the eternal now. This awareness changes how you act, how you love, how you breathe. You are no longer running after life. You are living it as it unfolds, without distance, without delay. The masters said, this is the true freedom. Not freedom to do whatever the ego desires, but freedom from the chains of time itself. Freedom from fear. Freedom from the illusion of separation. In the eternal now, you realize you have never been apart from the source. You are always within it. You are within it now. You will always be within it. And so, when the secret opens, life itself becomes luminous. Every tree, every face, every stone radiates presence. Every moment becomes holy ground. You realize the eternal now is not a special state for mystics alone. It is the true nature of existence. It has always been here, waiting to be noticed. The unveiling of the secret is not an escape from time, but a revelation that eternity has been woven into every breath. This is the gift hidden in the heart of the human being. This is the eternal now. Part 6. The Paradox of Union. The secret always reveals itself through paradox. The human mind wants clear definitions, sharp boundaries, neat explanations. But the closer you come to the innermost sanctuary, the more those boundaries dissolve. You remain yourself, and yet you are not yourself. God remains God. and yet nothing exists outside of him. It is not two, but it is not exactly one in the way the mind imagines. It is a union that destroys the idea of union. The mystics struggled to describe this. Some used the language of love. They said the lover and the beloved are two only in appearance. In reality, the love that flows between them reveals their unity. Others used the language of mirrors. They said the human being is the mirror in which the divine sees its own reflection. The reflection is not the original, and yet, without the reflection, the original would remain unseen. This is why Al-Hallaj cried, "I am the truth." To the unprepared, it sounded like arrogance, but to those who walked the path, it was the most humble recognition. It was the confession that nothing exists but the real, and the self is only a veil that finally fell away. In that unveiling, the secret spoke through him. It was not his voice, but the voice of the truth itself. Union is not annihilation in the way people fear. You do not vanish into nothingness. Instead, you awaken to what has always been. The separation itself was the illusion. The self you thought was solid turns out to be transparent, like glass. The light of the real shines through it. You remain, but you are no longer separate. You are revealed as a vessel, as a channel, as a mirror. This paradox is difficult for the mind. The mind wants to choose. Either you are human or divine. Either you exist or you do not. But the secret reveals a truth beyond these opposites. You are human, and you are divine. You exist, and you dissolve. You remain you, and yet you are nothing but the real. It is not contradiction. It is completion. The masters used stories to convey this mystery. One told of a moth and a flame. The moth circles the flame again and again, longing for its light. Finally, the moth throws itself into the fire. From the outside, it looks like death, but from the inside, it is fulfillment. The moth was never separate from the flame. The burning was the unveiling. Another told of a drop of water falling into the ocean. The drop disappears, yet it does not vanish into nothingness. It becomes the ocean. Its identity as a drop is gone, but its true nature as water is fulfilled. So it is with the human soul and the secret. Union is not the end of individuality. It is its transfiguration. You continue to live, to walk, to breathe. You continue to speak and love and create. But everything you do is infused with presence. Every act is divine disclosure. Every word carries a hidden radiance. Life becomes a mirror through which the secret shines. This is why the masters warned that the secret cannot be explained but only lived. Words always fall short. They can point, but they cannot capture. At best, they are like fingers pointing to the moon. You must look beyond the finger to see the light. And so the paradox remains. You are you, and yet you are not you. God is God, and yet he is closer to you than your own breath. Separation is real, and yet it was always illusion. The path of the secret is to walk into this paradox, to surrender to its fire, to let it consume every false boundary until only truth remains. Part 7. The preparation. The secret does not open itself to everyone at any time. It is not a prize that can be claimed by force. It is not a reward for ambition. The masters said clearly that the secret chooses its own moment of unveiling, and yet they also said the seeker must prepare. Just as the soil must be plowed before the seed can sprout, the heart must be prepared before the secret can awaken. The first preparation is self-examination. One master called it muhasaba, the practice of watching yourself with honesty. Every thought, every intention, every hidden motive must be observed. You ask yourself why you speak, why you act, why you desire. You do not condemn yourself, but you do not excuse yourself either. This constant awareness begins to loosen the grip of the ego. The second preparation is purification. Not a harsh punishment, but a gentle release. Every attachment is a veil. Every false promise of the world is a chain. To prepare for the secret is to let go of these chains, little by little. You release the obsession with wealth, the hunger for status, the fear of loss. Not by abandoning life, but by loosening your grip on it. When you stop clinging, the heart begins to breathe again. The third preparation is remembrance. At first, you may repeat the name of God with your tongue. You may speak it again and again, until it sinks from the lips into the heart. In time, remembrance becomes natural. You do not force it anymore. It flows like a stream. Eventually, even the need to repeat the word disappears. Silence itself becomes remembrance. In that silence, the secret stirs. The fourth preparation is companionship. The masters warned that the path is difficult alone. They said the awakened heart can awaken another, not through teaching, but through silent transmission. To sit with someone whose secret is alive is itself a form of remembrance. Presence speaks to presence. Flame awakens flame. The seeker is lifted not by words, but by the radiance of another heart. The fifth preparation is vision. The masters advised seekers to see the one in the many, to notice divine mercy in acts of kindness, to recognize divine beauty in the forms of nature, to sense divine power in the vast forces of the cosmos. Slowly, this vision expands until everything becomes a disclosure of the real. Joy and sorrow, gain and loss, all are seen as reflections of the one. And yet the greatest preparation is surrender. The master said even the longing for the secret can become a veil. If you seek the unveiling as a personal prize, you cling to separation. They warned, want nothing from God but God. Seek nothing from the path but the pathlessness beyond all paths. Only when you release even the desire for revelation does revelation come. So preparation is paradox. You polish the mirror, and yet you cannot command the light to fall upon it. You make yourself ready, but you cannot control the moment of grace. The secret unveils itself when it chooses, not when you demand it. The role of the seeker is to wait, to prepare, to surrender. One master said the seeker is like a cup placed under the sky. You cannot make the rain fall, but you can keep the cup clean and open. When the rain comes, the cup is ready. So it is with the secret. The unveiling is never earned. It is always gift. And so the path of preparation is simple, though not easy. Watch yourself. Purify the heart. Remember constantly. Seek the company of the awakened. See the divine in all things. Surrender everything, even the longing itself. Then wait. Wait in silence. Wait with patience. And one day, when the moment is right, the secret will rise like dawn, filling the heart with a light that was always there, hidden until the veils were gone. Part 8. The Guardianship of the Secret. The masters were always careful with the secret. They compared it to a jewel that must not be cast into the marketplace. They said the secret is fire. For the one who is ready, it gives warmth and light. For the one who is unprepared, it can burn and confuse. That is why they wrapped it in symbols and poetry, why they spoke in riddles and metaphors. They did not wish to hide truth forever. They wished to protect both the truth and the seeker. Ibn Arabi wrote that the secret must be guarded like a jewel. Expose it only to those whose hearts are strong enough to receive it without corruption. Al-Hujwiri warned that too much exposure to divine intimacy could overwhelm the soul, just as staring at the sun blinds the eyes. Hiddenness is protection. It is mercy. And yet the masters also said the secret cannot be contained by words at all. No book can hold it. No lecture can explain it. The true transmission of the secret is not through speech, but through presence. They said the speech of the secret is silence, and in that silence, heart speaks to heart. The awakened heart stirs the sleeping heart, not by teaching, but by being. This is why companionship was valued so highly. To sit in the company of the realized was itself a form of remembrance. Without saying a word, the secret in one could awaken the secret in another. This is a transmission beyond intellect, beyond imagination. It is presence recognizing presence. For this reason, the masters were humble. They knew the secret was never theirs to own. They carried it as a trust, an amana, placed in them by the real. To carry the secret is to bear responsibility, not only for oneself, but for all who may encounter it. It must be protected, nurtured, guarded with reverence. To misuse it, to display it for pride or profit, is to betray the trust. And yet, when the heart is ready, the secret stirs with the smallest touch. A glance from a teacher, a single word, a shared silence. These can be enough to ignite the flame. It is not the form that matters, but the readiness of the soul. The unveiling is not knowledge added from outside. It is recognition of what was always inside. The flame hidden under ashes suddenly breathes again. The masters passed the secret carefully across generations, not in books alone, but in living hearts. They carried it like a hidden flame, handed from one soul to another, so that it would never be extinguished. This is why the tradition is full of poetry, parables, and paradox. These are veils, designed to conceal and reveal at once. To the casual reader, they are stories. To the prepared heart, they are keys. The guardianship of the secret is not secrecy for its own sake. It is compassion. Just as a child must grow before holding fire, so must the seeker grow before receiving the unveiled light. This is not punishment. It is protection. The secret is not spectacle. It is not entertainment. It is divine intimacy. To treat it lightly is to miss its essence. So the masters lived quietly. They spoke carefully. They gave only what could be received. They walked humbly, knowing the treasure they carried was not theirs, but God's. Their lives became lanterns. They did not impose. They did not force. They simply shone. And those with eyes to see recognized the light. To be a guardian of the secret is to live with reverence. To know that what burns inside you is not yours alone. It belongs to the chain of seekers and knowers across time. It belongs to humanity itself. It belongs to the real, who entrusted it to the human heart. Part 9. The trust. The secret is not only a gift, it is a responsibility. The Quran speaks of the trust, the amana, offered to the heavens, the earth, and the mountains, but they refused it. Humanity accepted. Many Sufis understood this trust as the capacity to bear the secret. To awaken the secret is to become a trustee of divine intimacy. It is not personal property. It is not an achievement to boast about. It is a trust to be carried with humility. Ibn Arabi wrote that the secret is where God knows himself through the servant, and the servant knows himself through God. This recognition is not meant for the individual alone. It is part of the great unfolding of divine self-disclosure. Every heart that awakens becomes another mirror in which the real sees its own reflection. Every unveiling becomes another thread in the vast tapestry of creation's return to its source. This is why the masters insisted that the unveiling of the secret is not the end of the path, but the beginning of deeper responsibility. When you awaken, you are not called to escape the world. You are called to serve it. The secret is not for private ecstasy, but for transformation. It flows through you into compassion, into teaching, into the way you speak, the way you love, the way you walk. The true mystics were never seekers of fame. They did not gather followers for pride. They lived as reminders. Their task was not to impose, but to embody, not to control, but to serve. They became lanterns in which the divine light flickered, guiding seekers through the night of forgetfulness. They knew the secret was not theirs. It belonged to the real, entrusted for a time to their hearts, so that its light might awaken others. This is what Ibn Arabi called the secret brotherhood, an unseen circle of souls bound across generations, beyond time and place. They share the trust of the secret, each carrying it in silence, each transmitting it heart to heart. Some are known, like Rumi or Al-Ghazali, whose writings became vessels of transmission. Others remain hidden, unknown to history, but no less luminous. Together, they form a living network of light, guiding humanity back to its source. To carry the trust is to live carefully. Every word matters, every action matters, because through you, the secret may shine to another heart. You are no longer living only for yourself. You are part of something greater, something infinite. The secret asks not only for remembrance, but for responsibility. This is why the masters walked with humility. They never claimed ownership. They said, "It is not my secret, nor your secret. It is God's secret." To claim it as your own is to veil it again. To carry it as a trust is to allow it to radiate freely. The real shines through you when you step aside, when you stop clinging to possession. And so the trust is both gift and burden. It fills you with joy, but it also demands surrender. You must protect it without pride, guard it without fear, and share it without claiming it. You must live as a mirror polished for light, not for your own glory, but for the sake of all. The masters taught that the purpose of the secret is remembrance. Not remembrance as a mental act, but remembrance as a way of being. Through you, the universe remembers itself as divine. Through you, the real recognizes itself. This is the trust placed in the human heart. To awaken the secret is not to escape the world, but to return to it transformed. To walk as a reminder, to live as a flame, to carry the trust with humility and love. This is the calling of those who guard the secret. Part 10. The transformation of the world. The secret is not given so that the seeker may hide from life. It is not a doorway into escape. It is a doorway into transformation. When the innermost sanctuary is unveiled, the world itself begins to change. Or rather, you discover that the world has always been radiant, and now your eyes are open to see it. The mystics warned that many seekers make the mistake of stopping at ecstasy. They taste the sweetness of union and believe the journey is complete. But the unveiling of the secret is not an end. It is a beginning. It is not retreat into silence forever, but return into life with new vision. The test is not how high you rise in meditation, but how you walk when you come back down. Look at the lives of the great teachers. Rumi did not disappear into solitude. He poured the fire of the secret into poetry that continues to awaken hearts centuries later. Al-Ghazali returned from his crisis not to remain in retreat, but to teach with a clarity that transformed generations. The masters carried their unveiling into the marketplace, into families, into communities. Their task was not withdrawal, but illumination. When the secret awakens, ordinary actions become extraordinary. A smile becomes a gift of light. A meal shared becomes an act of remembrance. A conversation becomes a mirror of the real. Nothing is too small to carry the flame. The world itself becomes the field in which the secret is lived. This is why the secret is never selfish. It does not belong to one heart alone. It belongs to humanity. Every unveiling contributes to the collective return of creation to its source. When you awaken, you do not awaken only for yourself. You awaken for all. Your life becomes part of the great movement of remembrance that stretches across time. The transformation is subtle but powerful. Fear loses its grip. Greed weakens. Anger softens. Love grows naturally. Compassion becomes effortless. The self that once clung to everything begins to loosen, to release, to serve. You live lighter, and because of that lightness, you shine brighter. This is why the Master said the unveiling is not possession, but service. The awakened one is a servant, not a lord. Their role is not to control, but to embody. They become living lanterns, their very presence a reminder that the real is here. And because of their presence, others begin to awaken too. The transformation also touches how you see the world itself. Nature is no longer just matter. It becomes scripture, every leaf a verse, every river a recitation. Sorrow is no longer punishment. It becomes a teacher, polishing the heart. Joy is no longer distraction. It becomes gratitude, a window into mercy. Gain and loss, health and illness, all are seen as movements of the real. The world shines as divine disclosure. To live this way is not to escape pain. Pain still comes. Loss still comes. But they no longer destroy you. They are woven into the eternal now. You feel them deeply, but you are not trapped by them. You know they too are part of the unfolding, part of the secret remembering itself. The transformation is not dramatic in outward form. You may look the same to others. You may work, eat, walk, speak as before. But inside, everything is different. Presence fills you. Awareness burns quietly. Every moment is alive. This is the fruit of the secret, a life lived fully, humbly, luminously. And so the unveiling of the secret is not escape. It is return. Return to the world as it truly is. Return to yourself as you truly are. Return to the source that was never absent. This is the transformation, not of the world itself, but of your vision of it. And when vision changes, the world is reborn. Part 11. The fire of love. At the heart of the secret burns love. Not the love that comes and goes with moods, not the love that depends on beauty or benefit, but love without condition, without limit, without end. The Sufis said that the spirit itself is love, and the secret is its crown. To awaken the secret is to awaken to a fire that consumes everything false and leaves only truth. This love is not sentiment. It is power. It moves through the universe like an invisible wind, carrying stars in their orbits and rivers in their courses. It is the same force that drives the seed to grow, the same force that draws the soul back to its source. Human beings feel it as longing, as restlessness, as the quiet ache that no possession can heal. That ache is not weakness. It is the pulse of the divine calling you home. The mystics described love as both sweetness and fire. Sweetness, because it fills the heart with joy, with tenderness, with gratitude for every breath. Fire, because it burns away pride, greed, fear, and illusion. To love the real is to surrender everything else. To love the real is to allow every false veil to be consumed until nothing remains but presence. This is why the path is sometimes difficult. Love demands honesty. Love demands sacrifice. It strips you of masks. It exposes your hidden motives. It asks you to give up control, to let go of everything that blocks its flow. And yet this stripping is not cruelty. It is mercy. Every false layer that falls away makes you lighter, clearer, freer. Rumi wrote that love is the bridge between you and everything. Through love, you see the divine in faces, in stones, in stars. Through love, you recognize that nothing is outside the circle. The beggar and the king, the storm and the flower, all are woven from the same light. Love erases division. It melts the walls of separation. And yet love does not erase individuality. You remain yourself, but yourself becomes transparent. You act, but your actions are no longer driven by fear or desire. They are moved by compassion, by service, by the natural flow of the real through you. Love does not weaken you. It makes you strong enough to carry the secret with humility. This fire of love cannot be faked. It cannot be imitated. It burns with its own reality. Those who have touched it shine without effort. Their presence is enough. They do not need to preach, because their lives themselves become reminders. People feel the warmth of their love and are drawn to it, often without knowing why. The secret is guarded by love. Without love, the unveiling would destroy. With love, it heals. Love is the vessel strong enough to hold the fire. It is the reason the masters could walk humbly in the world, bearing light without being consumed by it. Love transforms knowledge into wisdom, silence into presence, surrender into joy. To awaken the secret, then, is to fall in love completely, not with one form, not with one face, but with the source of all forms, the face behind all faces. It is to see the beloved everywhere, to hear his voice in every sound, to feel his touch in every moment. This love never ends, because its object is infinite. So the secret is not only knowledge, it is not only silence, it is not only presence, it is love, burning and endless. It is the flame hidden within you, waiting to rise. And when it rises, it consumes separation, it consumes fear, it consumes everything that is not real. What remains is fire. What remains is sweetness. What remains is love. Part 12. The Invitation. The story of the secret is not about faraway heavens. It is not about hidden temples or ancient scrolls. It is about you. It is about the flame already waiting in your chest, the flame that has whispered to you since the first day of your life. You may have heard it in silence, felt it in longing, glimpsed it in fleeting moments of clarity. That whisper is not imagination. It is the call of the real, inviting you to remember. The Master said the secret is both the greatest mystery and the simplest truth. It cannot be bought. It cannot be forced. It unveils itself as grace, as gift, when the heart is ready. And yet the preparation lies in your hands, to polish the mirror, to loosen the grip of desire, to practice remembrance, to surrender the illusion of control. These are the steps that prepare the way for dawn. When the secret awakens, life itself becomes luminous. Every breath carries meaning. Every face shines with light. Every sorrow becomes a teacher. Every joy becomes gratitude. You realize that the real has always been here, closer than your own heartbeat, nearer than your own breath. The unveiling is not the arrival of something new. It is the recognition of what you have always been. And the journey does not end there. To carry the secret is to carry the trust. You become a mirror for others, a lantern in the dark, not by preaching, not by forcing, but simply by being. Your presence itself becomes a reminder. a gentle flame that can stir other flames awake. This is how the secret has survived across centuries, heart to heart, soul to soul, passed like fire from candle to candle. Perhaps even now, as these words reach you, something stirs inside. Perhaps the flame hidden under ashes breathes a little brighter. If so, do not ignore it. Sit with it. Listen to it. Let it guide you deeper into silence. The secret does not shout. It whispers. And yet its whisper carries more power than thunder. So take this not as an ending, but as an invitation. Walk with presence. Live with love. Remember in silence. And trust that the flame within you is enough. You do not need to chase distant treasures. The jewel has always been here, waiting in the sanctuary of your heart. If these words have touched something in you, let that touch become part of the circle. Share your reflection. Leave a trace of your own journey, so that others may find courage to polish their mirrors too. Add your voice, your comment, your light to this gathering of seekers. If you wish, stay connected, subscribe, keep walking with us, so that this path may continue heart to heart, across time and across distance. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The secret is alive. The flame is waiting, and the invitation is always open.